I want to play you both a clip. Your dad's had a lot of feuds with people. Some he starts, some he doesn't, some he just gets picked on for the sake of it. There's a lot of feminists who he winds up very successfully, I would say, because they're very easy to wind up. One of them is Caitlin Moran, who's currently in America, and she's using your dad a lot, ranting away about him. And here's one clip of her talking about your dad.
He shared a piece to his 10 million followers in which I think I do a pretty good demolishment job of his entire career and oeuvre. The advice that he gives is either the kind of stuff your mum would say for free, like make your bed, pet a cat in the street, or mad stuff about lobsters. I didn't even go to school at a university, and I was halfway through his book going, I'm fairly sure I can demolish a great deal of the logic in this book. This guy is not the smartest guy in the world. He's just a man in a waistcoat who sounds, to be honest, a bit like Kermit from The Muppet Show.
Kermit from The Muppet Show. Your thoughts?
Well, that's true. I do sound a lot like Kermit from The Muppet Show. So that was the one thing she said that was accurate.
That's not even her joke, though.
No,
that's not clever if you steal it from somebody else.
No, it's an old joke. But it was a good one when it first came out. Mm-hmm. So what do you think of her?
Sounds like she'd be fun at a party. Or as your mother. Yeah.
Or as your mother.
Have that as your mother, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mikhaila,
I bet her kids didn't make their bed.
Mikhaila, do you think people like Caitlin Moran, do they just basically misunderstand what your dad really is about?
I don't even think they're capable of understanding what he's about. There's too much arrogance there. Mm-hmm. You can't be that arrogant and assume you know everything and then read something and learn, or read anything and learn. Right?
That's why you don't cast pearls before swine, dear.
You know, Jordan, my sons, as I think I've told you before, are all big fans of yours. And they just said to me, they got one question, which, what advice do you give for children who are the children of controversial public figures?
Well, you know, Mikhaila has leapt out and taken the opportunities that came along with that in the public way. My son Julian is a more private person, and he's chosen to erect barriers around his family and not to face the public as much, although he has played his music at my lectures and he works with me. I think, you know, each person has to find their own way. There are great advantages to having a tremendous amount of attention devoted to you and having people offer opportunities, but each person, depending on their own temperamental proclivities, has to figure out how to manage that themselves. And it's complex, but it can work. I mean, Julian, Tammy, and Mikhaila have all reacted to that in their own way. It took Tammy a good while, like the rest of us, to figure out what her place was, so to speak, but she's really managed that. And Tammy is out in public much more than I would have thought she would have been. You know, if I would have been able to see into the future 10 years ago, she's become quite an accomplished public speaker, for example, and she certainly didn't think that was in the cards or in the stars. But things come at you, and you surf the wave, and you're happy for the opportunity. And Julian and Mikhaila and Tammy have all adapted in their various ways, and I think at the moment that's working like a charm.
And Mikhaila, if I asked you,
hooray.
Mikhaila, obviously the family's gone through this extraordinary 6-7 years or more now, involving some extraordinary challenges for you all personally, which would have happened anyway, or perhaps not actually in your dad's case, but certainly for you and your mum. But you've come out and you've got fabulously wealthier as a family, I guess, than before this started, fabulously more famous than before it started. But if I had the power to transport you back to anonymity, without the fame, without the extra money and all the rest of it, would you take that deal, or would you be actually quite happy where you've all washed up now?
Oh, there's no way I would take that deal, even with everything we went through. I was talking to my husband the other day about why I'm interested in making money versus why he is, and he said he always liked expensive things, basically. And I said, I'm like decked out right now, but I also didn't mind buying things from thrift shops and decorating my room that way. I didn't want to feel vulnerable anymore from not having enough money. And so my yearn to be successful was always so that I would be less vulnerable, so that when I had a problem, I had money to help me solve it. And that was my motivation. And so I wouldn't want to go back to before, because I feel more secure and less vulnerable now.